You guys have to understand that your influence on him is meaningful, but he needs to make decisions on his own.
That doesn't make sense. If you want a thing, speak up.
So you're smart today?
I'm smart every day.
Your t-shirt's on backwards.
What? Man, it's a V-neck. What is wrong with you? I thought it was from Europe.
A rebel like James Dean.
All right, countdown to the Geekcast. We've got an awesome guest for the cast today. We got Jonathan Medina. He's from the show from Primo, based in San Antonio. He's also been in other stuff as well. You may have seen him in Criminal Minds. One of the ones that I really like as well is the Terminal List.
Yeah.
And then there's also, his IMDb says he's going to be in Fear of the Walking Dead as well. But
it just aired. It just aired a week ago.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we could talk about it. I didn't know what we could talk about, but I just kind of wanted to mention it out there for people who didn't know. But yeah, so we're going to start off with Jonathan. Just let us know, a little bit about yourself.
Originally from New York, born and raised in New York, lived all over. I'm a naval veteran. I started acting professionally about going on 10 years ago. Really got my first big TV credit about, I think it's now 7.5, 8 years ago, on Criminal Minds, the one you were talking about. And unless, I have a lot of interests, we would have to do, I think, three podcasts to get it all in there. But that's basically me.
But hey, that's perfect, man. So I'll start off and I'm gonna ask you one of the questions I want to ask, of course.
Sure.
When, of course, we were talking before the show, when the bug bit you for acting, and you were talking about it, when you were in Vegas. So like when you were in high school, middle school, did it kind of interest you then, and then you were it was in that back of your head, and then eventually kind of grew and grew to the point where it actually, you stepped out of the box and got out of the fear, kind of like me.
So yeah, I mean, it's always been there. I've loved movies since I can, as far back as I can remember. It's a Wonderful Life is, I think, one of the first films that I remember watching as a kid in my family dynamic, and really having a reaction to the movie emotionally. And at the time I didn't really understand it, but the cinematography of it, the acting, all of those different components working together on me, and that was something that has stayed with me my whole life. And then seeing Spencer Tracy and Humphrey Bogart, who's one of my favorites, like Key Largo and Casablanca were two of my favorite films when I was little. Those actors, those movies were really the beginning, the foundation for me. And then I didn't really know anything, because I came up during a time when the internet wasn't around, right? I was still putting quarters in the phone booths to make phone calls if I was out on the town. And so yeah, there was I didn't even know that there was a Puerto Rican traveling theater when I was growing up in New York. They must have traveled around a lot, because I never saw them. But I wish I had, because I understand that they were amazing. Yeah, that was when it bit me. And then 2013, I was living in not Vegas, but Arizona.
Okay.
And yeah, I was living in Phoenix, and I was working for Honeywell and IBM as a contractor. And it was just one of those pivotal moments in your life where you realize you're either going to do it or you're going to be talking about what could have been. And so I went out for a short film that was in one of the local papers, and they asked for a headshot and a resume, and I brought a Polaroid with my name and my number on the back because I didn't know any better. And I went in for the villain. I got cast as the hero, and the rest is histrionics, as they say.
Nice. And it's a big step, man. That's a big fear. I mean, I can be there right with you. Me doing the stuff I'm doing now, it's scary, because you're going into the unknown, not knowing if you're going to do good. how you're going to come across, because a lot of us don't like the way we talk, or how our voice sounds, or like me, I don't like taking pictures, I don't like being in front of the camera, but yeah, here I am. But yeah,
Come on, you look good in pictures.
I wish, man. My wife gets mad at me because I don't take enough, she says, but I just tell her, I was like, I just don't like taking pictures. I don't know why. I've always been like that. But with you as well, getting into the acting bug, and what was like being in the one when you did when you got your first, Criminal Minds, you being on set, did you have nerves that, when you came on that first?
Oh yeah, I was terrified. Well, so for people who don't know, the audition process can be nerve-wracking
Yeah.
for just about anybody, even people who are iconic in the acting world. Henry Fonda has, it's been said, up until the day he died, whenever he would get on stage, right before he would get on stage, he would get nauseous.
Oh, dang.
And I think that says a lot about who he was as a person as well as an artist. I think if you care about something, this is not necessarily true across the board, but I think if you care about something, it should make you nervous.
Yeah.
I think it says something about your investment in whatever that is, and just how much you want to be good at that thing, whatever it is, and how much you're willing to sacrifice of yourself and bring of yourself to whatever that is. So yeah, I was terrified. And the first day we shot the final scene. So again, for people who don't know, sometimes when you shoot a show or a movie, you don't shoot it in order. You can shoot it out of order. And we happened to shoot the final scene of the episode on my first day.
Oh man.
So yeah, there were all of the actors, including Gary Sinise, were there. And I was so amped up with adrenaline and so nervous that we did, I think, the coverage of everybody else before me. And I was at the level, I was at 15
Man.
for every single take, because I was so amped up on adrenaline and so excited to be on set and be doing what I love and being opposite somebody like Gary Sinise, who I'd seen forever and who I respected, that by the end, all of the series regulars had come to me and they were like, that was amazing. and even Gary came over and congratulated me and was so gracious and so kind, and he gave me a hug and he was like, that was such a great job. Little did they know that I was terrified throughout the whole thing.
Wow. That is some crazy stuff. I mean, and that's what, like I said, that's how I remember you. And that's the thing, like growing up I was kind of like the cable guy where, grew up sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah.
I watched everything from horror, sci-fi, everything. And, to me, when you're watching a movie, you're watching a TV show, if it's good, it takes you away from the moment. You forget because you get drawn in. And when you see these actors who really, hit you, when they portray their roles, and that's a gift, you know what I mean? And when I saw you on Criminal Minds, I was like, man, that's cool, because like I said, seeing, Latin actors more on TV now is I love it. It's just kind of like me having to watch TV with my mom, watching telenovelas with her and stuff like that, and getting to see that. But then when you come to regular TV or movies, you didn't see us portrayed that much. And the only way you did see us portrayed was only in certain roles. But when, seeing you roles that like you've portrayed, like in the Terminal, and it's kind of funny because you were in the military and then you're portraying, a member with this team, in this movie, it's kind of like, that's cool. It's like seeing the action, especially in Hollywood now with Star Wars, seeing more actors, Pedro Pascal and stuff like that. And it's like you guys are slowly taking over, and that's how I see it. That's really how I see it. And then, like I said, when I saw Primo come on TV, I mean, I was kind of mad. It was only 8 episodes because I kind of wanted.
A lot of people are mad about that too.
But I understand, and it's kind of like, that's what they're doing. They're kind of doing that now with a lot of, Netflix and everything like that. They'll give you 8 or 10, and then you have to wait for the other season. but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it kind of left you hanging. I liked the chemistry you had with the cast, and especially the character you portray. Like right now, I see you and talking to you right now. You don't at all at all seem like Jay. You're outgoing, funny, but the character you portray as Jay, he's just so serious and everything is just and it kind of reminds me, of one of my uncles. Like he was always, straight, serious, and it was hard to get him to laugh. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah,
I think Jay's there's a little bit of Jay in everybody. I think we all get a little serious, sometimes a little too serious for our own good. And in Jay's case, it's really it's the driving force behind his day-to-day, because he really just wants to take care of his family. And so that's it is his all-consuming thought, and it becomes part of what the world sees through his concern and his love for his family.
well, my wife says, because this is how people see me. It's either people who see me either like me or don't like me because how I look, and of course I'm a big guy. But she's like, "That's you," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You're serious, but you're a big teddy bear." I'm like, okay, that's kind of so funny, but that's what I see. I kind of see like, yeah, Jay looks like that, but I have a feeling that Jay's kind of like me, a big teddy bear. You know what I mean? Because like you said, he cares about his family and he'll do whatever he needs for his family.
That's
But
right.
you know what I mean?
And you
that,
see it when he talks about his wife. He gets all
oh
choked
yeah, yeah, definitely with that. That is freaking. So when you got cast for the show, I mean, did you know about it up front what you were going for, or was it just kind of like for just casting call, or
No, I got the audition, and I read through the sides that they had given me. I didn't get a chance to get the whole script, but even from the sides that they had given us, it was hysterical. I mean, the fact that there were five Latin men all yelling and talking over each other was funny just from the beginning. And then it was just really clever. It was really cleverly done, and Jay was the only character that I went out for. I know some of the other uncles had auditioned for other characters, including Johnny. I think Johnny had auditioned for Jay as well as for Rolly. So Johnny Rey Diaz,
oh dang,
who plays Rolly in the show, he talks about it, and he's a really great interview too. He's one of the uncles who I think auditioned for more than one, but Jay was the only one that I auditioned for. And I know you had asked, and I don't know if you want to talk about this now, but the character sort of got created in the process of the audition. Do you want to know about that?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
So my wife, who's also an actor, we had both gotten our auditions. She had gotten an audition for something, and I had gotten the audition for Jay on the same day. And we did both of our auditions, and it was really easy for me. Jay, the first take on Jay, it was completely different, but it felt right. I did it. We did both of our auditions. I edited hers and sent it off, and mine wasn't due until I think the next day or the day after. So I was going to wait till the morning, and I got up in the morning. I made myself some coffee. I went and I cleaned up her files, and I deleted my audition. And I was fit to be tied, let me tell you. And when my wife woke up, she found a crazy man in the office. And so we had to redo the audition. And in the process of redoing it, I was not happy. And some of that anger and character started to immediately come out, right? My frustration with it started to come out at my frustration with my brothers in the sides. And so the audition, unbeknownst to me, started to take on this sort of tint. And I sent it off and not thinking anything of it, because I hadn't done a series regular before this. And it was a Mike Schur show, and it was Shea Serrano. And I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to hear back. So when I got the call back, it was not only a surprise, but a gift, because that character had already started to sort of formulate. And in the process of doing the callback, Shea and Mike were both in the Zoom. And Mike made a comment about doing one of the lines or one of the scenes I think we worked on, and he said, "Can you do it a little more deadpan?" And I said, "Sure." And I did it, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it like that." He goes, "And do kind of like the thing you were doing in the second scene in this with the deadpan." And sure enough, Jay was born. By the time I got the test, I was doing everything as Shea. But what people don't know is that when you're doing it over Zoom, the only person you hear is the reader. So I'm doing all of these lines as Jay, and I don't hear any laughter. It's just silence. So
Oh man.
I'm pretty sure I'm bombing. I don't think any of this is funny. And I'm not playing it as funny because at this point I'm just trying to give Jay an honesty and a groundedness. And so when I got the role, I was shocked. It was amazing. It was amazing, but I had no idea because the whole process, it was building this character that eventually ended up coming to life in the show, but I had no idea.
Well, you already answered one of the questions that was on that list about how you came up with the
The character.
straight face and this the character in general. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so crazy. So just without even planning it, you just created the character just because of what happened the night before.
Yeah, circumstances.
It's weird how things work it out, man.
Lean into life, man.
So-
Lean into life.
Yeah. Of course, it's portrayed in San Antonio. Have you ever been to San Antonio?
I drove through it.
dang.
When I was stationed in San Diego, I ended up driving home to New York at the end of my enlistment, and I ended up driving through Texas, and I wanted to go through San Antonio. I think I had lunch there, and it was a really pretty city. But this was a long time ago.
Nice. So, of course, they mentioned Whataburger in Primo.
Yeah.
So I have to ask: have you ever had Whataburger?
Oh yeah.
So okay, because there's that big dilemma, and I didn't put it on the list because I didn't know if you had Whataburger. People ask, and no, I'm gonna say because I'm In-N-Out too, and I love Whataburger. To me, I prefer In-N-Out over McDonald's. If I had a choice between those two, I would take McDonald's. It's kind of like Whataburger, In-N-Out, and then McDonald's is on the bottom. So, what are you? One, do you eat burgers, or are you a vegetarian, or what do you have?
Well, now I'm a vegan, so Impossible Burgers is pretty much that, and Beyond Meat. I don't have a favorite, just in case they're both listening. Well, when I did eat burgers, In-N-Out was the place I went.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is freaking cool. Yeah, I had never had In-N-Out until, of course, now they have one in Texas.
Yeah.
But with work, I had to go to Orange County for training, and that was like the first time I ever had In-N-Out, and I was like, "This is not bad." I
Yeah.
have to say.
And if you're in the know, you can get it wild style. I think is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't tried it.
There you go.
But
Matt,
definitely
use the special coupon code wild style.
I learned something new today. So, not just you working on Terminal, I also wanted to ask. You also worked on Purge.
Yeah.
How was it working on that kind of set? Because that was had to be crazy.
Yeah, and it was Gail Pillsbury and Brian Hill who cast me, and that was a whole nother story. They were wonderful. Gail's amazing, so is Brian. So there's a correlation between the Purge and Primo, other than they both start with P. They're in the Purge story, for those of the people who are listening that aren't familiar with, it's the second season of the Purge. The main tenet of the second season was we get to see what the world or the universe of the Purge is like outside of Purge Night. It starts with Purge Night, and then you get to see the whole year up until the second Purge Night. And that was the sort of idea behind the second season, is we get to see what the rest of the world is like, what the universe is like when people killing each other. And
Yeah.
my storyline, it was Max Martini, Shel Ramos, and or Ramos, depending on who's saying it, and Jaron Mitchell. They were the three members of our team. Max was the main guy, and we were cops who had known each other for almost 10 years at that point when the story opens up. So you have to create some sort of chemistry with these people, and we've just met, right? And our first scene is us working as a team trying to break into this bank on purge night. And so I didn't know any other way to do it other than to make myself friendly. So I went in and introduced myself, and we had a table read, we had sort of met, but we hadn't really all sat down and talked. And so I just dragged all of them together, and I brought them into the same little area while we were waiting to shoot. And I just started asking questions. I made myself as annoying as possible, and it really broke the mold. And then we all started talking, and we were there for like 25 minutes, a half an hour. And by the time we got on screen, by the time we started shooting, we had already been joking with each other like we had known each other for years. So it plays on screen like there's a very real camaraderie, and we really like each other because we really like each other. And it was the same for Primo. Like when we got on set, I think Shea or Johnny tells the story where Johnny and I just happen to be we happen to be together during our screen test. And when
Okay.
when he's on camera, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but there's a moment where like I run behind him, and people are like, "What's going on?" And she starts to laugh. And then when I'm on doing my screen test, there's a moment where he leans his head in, and we're messing around with each other like we've known each other forever. And that was the first time we'd met in person. We had table reads and met on Zoom, but we had never met each other in person. And Shay comes over and says, "Did you guys know each other?" And Johnny's like, "No, I just met him today." And it was that kind of chemistry, that kind of camaraderie that we all had. I mean, everybody, Christina, Carlos, Henry, Ignacio, Efraín, like we just bonded together, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful, man. So the Purge, having that relationship with those other actors in the Purge, and having such a great group of people. I mean, Mike Yan and Chelsea Brulin were the stunt coordinators. They made us look like badasses. Tim Andrew, who was the EP, and he directed the first and last episode, and I happened to be in the first and last episode. He was somebody that I worked with. He was great. Alyssa Cantro, Paige Pemberton, Paul Udo, Tommy Martin, Federico Veradi. He was one of the camera guys. Like everybody, like we had Gigi Sao Guerrero. She was one of the directors. Jaime Reynoso, I think Reynoso is one of the other directors. There was Tara Nicole Ware. Oh my God, who was it? Jessica Lowry. She was one of the directors in the episodes that I was in. Crystal and James were two of the writers that I got to know. Carla Brenholtz, Natalie Johnson. I mean, there was all these incredible people on set, and I got to know them as quickly as I could because they were all amazing, wonderful, friendly people, and it was such a fraught story, right? Like the idea is so heavy.
Yeah, it is.
And so you want to create a sense of vulnerability and safety to be able to go and explore like those deep, dark places that you have to get to for that kind of a show. And
Definitely.
and they made it really easy. It really opened up a lot of beautiful moments for everybody on the show. Joel Allen, who plays like the serial killer. And one of the other storylines, I got to know him. He's like the nicest guy, super talented, really great human being. So yeah, it was great, man. I had a blast.
Well, I mean, now that you brought that up about like the chemistry side of it, that's something I was gonna bring up about the show too. You guys in Primo, the chemistry is just there.
Yeah.
Like the way you play off each other. And that's one of the things I was kind of like caught about it was it just seemed to flow very easily the jokes and everything like that, and the way y'all acted, you kind of acted like you kind of were related to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all brought our personalities to the roles. We all brought our A game. I mean, every single day. Again, like there's a whole list of people. Peter and Lisa, who were the EPs and head writers. Morgan was there. Mike was there. David Meineke showed up on set a couple of times. Shea was always there.
Nice.
Shea was always there. I mean, he was our cheerleader, our coach. He lifted us up. He made it okay for us to take chances and risks. And you know, for a lot of us, this was our first real series regular, and for a lot of us, it was our first comedy, like real big comedy that we'd ever done. And there was never a moment on set that it wasn't absolutely 100% safe for us to just try something. You know, we would do it as scripted, and then they would give us opportunities to explore because of the relationships that we'd already established with each other. It was great. It was great.
So this was was this the kind of like your first official comedy role that you could say?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, so like I had done Kingpin Katie was, I think, the first. Actually, there was something in before that, but Kingpin Katie was sort of like the first big comedic type role that I had ever done, and I played kind of a straight guy in that too, like the straight man to her comedian. And then right before Primo, I had done Villains of Valley View and Ultraviolet and Black Scorpion. But I played the heavy in Violet Black Scorpion. Like I played a guy called Hypnotico, and actually I stole a little bit of his voice for Uncle Jay. I borrowed a lot for Uncle Jay. I borrowed a lot of things.
That voice, it kind of you kind of get that from like Ted. I forgot his name right now off the back of my head, but he's the one that just has that deep voice, that real deep voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I definitely remember that voice just kind of reminded me
Kent.
of
You're talking about Roy Kent.
Yes.
Yeah.
That voice is just kind of reminded us like, man, that sounds like Roy. But also with voicing, where you said you got the voice from that, it also says that you've done some voiceover for Marvel animation. What characters have you portrayed?
Oh, I can't talk about that.
Oh, it hasn't come out yet?
No, it's not. It's not out yet. It's going to be coming out.
Okay.
The beginning of next year, or at some point next year.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely, like I said, we love that stuff here. So we'll definitely I'll hit you back when you can talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to come back, and because that was an incredible experience too.
So is voiceover work harder than actually doing acting, or which one's harder to you?
They both have their pros and cons. I don't think one's harder than the other. Voiceover definitely requires, because it's just your voice, you're making way more of a commitment, because when you're on camera, there's a lot of subtlety that you can do with your face, right? With your body, right? The physicality of it is such that I can convey an emotion with a look or a movement, and you can't do that in voiceover, right? That's the animator's job. And so when the character speaks, there is a fair amount of meaning and intention and emotion that you have to get across. And so there's a lot of work to do there, and you have to play with intonation and pitch, and you have to and an emphasis on certain words. So it's a very different skill set, and it's a very small community. So you know, when you do get a voiceover, even smaller than acting. I mean, acting work is hard to get. Voiceover work, in my opinion, is even harder to get. And there's a reason. I mean, there are people who do it and do it well, and they've been doing it for a long time. And you know, it's a skill that I'm still working on, and I hope to be working on for the rest of my life. So
nice. And I'm big on the voice acting. That's the reason why I kind of brought that up, because Like my wife, I can watch cartoons and I can tell you which actor's portraying that voice when we're watching cartoons. I don't know why I know this stuff, but I do. Uh, uh, it's kind of weird. My wife laughs at me. The other question I was going to ask. So this is Countdown City Geekcast, and we believe everybody has a geek side to them. Do you have a geek side?
Yes, I do. I don't know why I
What is
say it
your
like
geek-
that. I'm proud of my geek side. And we're on Countdown City Geekcast. Yes, I do. What were you gonna ask?
What is your geek side? What is it that you love that portrays you as a geek? Is it sci-fi? You know, are you into older stuff like Transformers, stuff like that, Star Wars? What is your
Oh
vice?
God, I have so many. I mean, Star Trek, Star Wars, Empire is still my favorite.
Nice.
Buck Rogers, Babylon 5,
Oh man.
Firefly. We could go on and on. I mean, like Doctor Who.
Oh dude.
Dude.
Oh, you're a Doctor Who
Oh
fan?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Are you happy for the 60th?
Of course, I'm happy, and I, this is the thing. Like, if I start talking about Doctor Who, there's gonna be huge backlash. everybody's gonna be like, "That's the one you like." But yeah, no, I'm so happy about the 60th. I can't wait to see the next Doctor appear too. It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah. So I watched Doctor Who. I go back. My first Doctor was McCoy.
Right on.
And Ace were my first companions. Those are my first Doctor and companion. And I'm working on trying to get Ace on the podcast to interview her because she was like my first crush for Doctor Who characters. And then when they bought in Amelia Pond, oh man, I fell in love with that red hair. She was gorgeous. Like I literally, my backdrop of my computer is her and Matt Smith. But yeah, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Like if you since you researched me when I reached out to you, if you go to my profiles and stuff, I'll send you some photos as well. But one of my things, I remember I told you I worked at a comic book store.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I got to do was I always go to these conventions, the Comic Cons and stuff like that. So I got to go, and I'm walking down Artist Alley. One thing I love art. I'm a big art guy. If you can see the back piece right there, that's Alex Ross Joker and Harley Quinn piece.
Dude.
But I love art big time. And I see this artist, and his name's Paul Hanley, and he has all the TARDISes from every era as it kind of went through. So I was like, man, I like his art. And then about 2 months later, the comic book boss tells me, "Hey, they're doing a Doctor Who for Titan Comics. You know, they're allowing us to do a variant cover because they were going to introduce the new Doctor." And I reached out to that artist because I had got his business card. I was like, "Hey, man, I really love your art. We're looking for an artist to do a comic cover." And he was like, "Oh, for real?" He's like, "Oh man, I love Doctor Who." He goes, "I've been trying to get into do Doctor Who art for a long time." So he actually did a piece where you combine the two comics together, and it has all the Doctors, and then in the background it has the Doctor that was coming out, and as you see the shadow only. But I got Amy to take or not Amy, the Doctors to take a picture with them holding the comics. But yeah, so Doctor Who wise, dude, big time Doctor Who fan.
Dude, hold on.
I'll send you the photos.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
This will give you an indication of it's a TARDIS.
Okay, the coffee.
It's a coffee mug.
Dude.
It's a TARDIS, and when you put hot water in there, the TARDIS disappears.
Dude, nice. Dude, I didn't know you were that much of a geek. I really love it.
Tom Baker,
That is
Peter
so
Davison, Christopher Eccleston is my favorite Doctor, by the way. He was
Yeah, that's when I got back into it again. That was like what really, I told my wife, I used to watch it on PBS back in the day. She didn't know who Doctor Who was when we were together.
Yeah.
And when she started watching Eccleston, you know, she started watching. She was like, "What is this?" And she got into it too. Eccleston too. I agree with you. Eccleston was awesome.
Dude, he was the wartime doctor, man. Like you could
Yeah.
see the angst and the anger, but he also had that humanity in him, that he was always in conflict. And yeah, for me too, like he brought me back to Doctor Who, right? After so many years of being away from it. And he embodied so much of the old, like coming into the new. And who doesn't like David Tennant? But it's and
Oh
Matt
yeah.
and Matt Smith is another one. Like I loved him and Amelia. I love the combination of them together. But it took me a while to get back to get into Matt Smith, because it felt like an echo of David, and then Matt really made it his own. And by the time he left,
Oh yeah.
whew, that was it was hard to watch him go, man. I really missed him.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, and of course now we see him in the new Game of Thrones spinoff,
I
which is pretty
know.
cool. It's hard to see him as an evil person.
Yeah. It's I'm just waiting for him to take out a sonic screwdriver and like hit somebody up with it. It was
Oh yeah,
What's funny too
definitely.
is like a lot of people don't. I mean, I don't. Maybe they do, but like when Peter Capaldi came in, like what people don't remember is him from the Fires of Pompeii with David Tennant.
Yes.
He was a
Yeah.
guest star, and when he showed up, when I found out it was Peter, I was like, what? Wait a minute. Um, and he was another one. Like it took me a little while to get behind him, but they always win me over. Like the writing is so good. Moffat is
Oh
such a
yeah,
good
dude.
writer. Like all of the people. I mean, Stephen Moffat is such an amazing writer, and his storylines they always pique my interest. There's always something woven in that, the wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, like that whole idea. Anyway, so yeah, there's my geek coming out for the world to see.
Oh no, man, that's what we're here for, man. That's why everybody has their geek side, and that's cool that you're a Doctor Who fan. So now that you bought this up
Oh,
and you're a geek, what genre are I'm sorry, not genre. If you got an opportunity to act in one of these sci-fis that you like, which one would you want to do?
oh God. I mean,
I mean, it's hard, right?
I'd love to be in a Doctor Who episode.
Oh,
Like I would do a co-star in a Doctor Who episode in a minute. Like I just anything. Like like just I would be like have one of the Daleks shoot me, right, and just fall over, and I would just die like dramatically. I think I always wanted to be a Jedi, and
nice.
when I saw Sam Jackson as a Jedi, I thought, wow, that's, it's me. Um, Neil Gaiman, like I'd love to do
Oh, dude.
if they ever did a series of like Neverwhere,
Yeah.
like in a heartbeat. And then I don't know if you've ever seen do you know Ursula K. Le Guin? Do you know her books?
Yeah, I've heard of her. Yes. I've heard her books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an Earthsea. The Earthsea books are something that they've done. I think it was Mizusaki who did the Tales of Earthsea, and that's a series that like I wish they would do it from the beginning, like a Wizard of Earthsea. Like if they did it from the beginning, like I would love to voice a character. Like Ged would be an amazing. Like they would, again, like I'm just like any character. I do animal voices in the background for that kind of thing. That, and I think also the Phantom Toll Booth was a seminal book from my childhood that I've never seen. Like they did was Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers did an animation of it back in the mid to late 60s, which was fun.
Yeah.
But like that would be something that now you could bring back and do with
Better
oh
CGI, better
yeah,
graphics.
VFX, the animators. I mean, Pixar or DreamWorks doing the Phantom Toll Booth, forget it. It's over. It's
Yeah.
over.
But that's the thing, man. We're slowly taking over. Well, us geeks are slowly taking over the world.
Yes.
I mean, right now, I'm so excited for there's so much stuff coming out. But a Michael Keaton fan, and there's getting mixed reviews of Flash. I don't care. It's to me, it's a Batman movie.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go watch it just because Michael Keaton's in it,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping James Gunn. I love James Gunn, and there's mixed reviews of people complaining that he's gonna ruin the the DC universe. Man, he bought Guardians of the Galaxy. He bought characters that were nothing in the comics, and he made you love them. He made you care about Groot. He made you care about Rocket.
Yeah.
So his writing is phenomenal. So I'm not worried. But there's everybody's not going to be happy. But hey, you know what? Hey, as long as I get to enjoy a movie, that's all I'm happy about.
Yeah, I think movies like anything else. It's like, it's your flavor. It's what you like. You don't just because everybody likes something doesn't mean you have to like it, and just because no one likes something doesn't mean that it really is up to you. And I think that's something that people should really lean into and really discover. What is it that you like? It doesn't matter if it's popular or not.
Exactly. Well, like I said, man, you just literally made my day to meet another Whovian. That's freaking.
When you're talking about the Guardians, like I Chris Pratt, having worked with him.
I was gonna ask about that, but because I kind of I don't know if I can go there. But how were you start? Okay, going back now, who were you starstruck to work with? Like, were you you geeked out when you first saw them?
I don't get starstruck. Honestly, I don't.
Okay.
That's not to say that there aren't people who have an aura, and Chris is definitely one of those people, right? Like when he steps onto the set, there's an energy about him that is undeniable. But he's exactly what you think he is. Like he's kind and funny and inclusive and extraordinarily talented. And did I say funny? He's very funny. And we had like the best time at one point. Like we just started riffing with each other, and I was, he makes room for everybody, and so everybody brings something to the table, and it was it's interesting because this is inside baseball. At one point, David DeGilio, who was the showrunner for The Terminalist, he came over to me and he asked me, he said, "Do you do comedy?" And I said, "No." I said, I'm working toward it. I don't. He's like, "You'd be good at comedy." I said, from your mouth to God's ears. And almost a year later, because we were on set around the same time, almost a year later, I booked Primo.
Nice. So, hey, you got to bring it into fruition, man.
Yeah.
You put it out there, people, and get it out there, and it can happen. I mean, you working, and also you got to work with Taylor Kitsch. That's my wife's, I guess she can say, freebie.
Taylor would love to hear that.
Yeah. Oh no, she's hardcore Taylor Kitsch fan.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell him about it.
Oh, dude. She'll freak out if you do.
He is.
Yeah.
He's incredible. First of all, he's an incredible actor. He's an incredible artist.
Yeah.
And he's an incredible human being. Like kind, down to earth, like a stand-up guy. Just amazing to work with the two of them, and their energy on screen is very similar to their energy in real life. I mean, Chris is not that guy, obviously, but the weight of what Chris was experiencing in the story of The Terminalist was, it was being held up by Taylor's strength. He really has a grounded sort of earth-like strength.
Oh yeah.
And it comes across because it's really there. He's a real person. And he was such a pleasure to work with.
Nice. Yeah, he lives in Austin, and I've attempted to. He's on my bucket list of people to get to come on, because talk about Friday Night Lights and stuff like that. Yeah, so I have a bucket list, and that's the way I have it. Like, in life is like, you want to set a goal or have your vision board of things you want to do, so that it gives you something to strive to get to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, you're one of them, and not only that, you just made it way better now to know that you're right there on my level as geek wise. To know the knowledge you knew of Doctor Who, that's freaking awesome to me. I'm like, I feel kind of cool.
Dude, John Carter of Mars, man.
Yeah, that one too. Did you talk to him about that?
I did.
Did you ask him?
I did. I'll wait. I'll wait for you
Nice.
to get him on the show and let him tell you about it because he tells the story way better than I can. So
Oh, dude, I've been trying left and right. I mean, he really keeps to himself. He doesn't do social that much. He doesn't do social media that
right.
much. So it's really kind of hard to. So I'm trying to see if I can get his agent to find and see if I can get him on the show to talk about. That's one of the movies. That movie, people give it so much bad rap.
I know.
The special effects were awesome. I loved it.
So did I.
You know what I
So did
mean?
I. I did too.
And I wanted a continuation of it, and it sucks that we didn't get it. You know what I mean? But it was a freaking awesome movie too.
Well, I mean that and
Like,
Firefly, they both got a bad rap because the marketing was a little mixed up, So
yeah,
because it something happened and it didn't get marketed right, and I think people didn't know, they didn't know the book series. They did, and you don't if you don't set it up right, it's the same thing that happened with Firefly. You get the second episode. There's no character development. You don't really have anything to connect to. You don't know who these people are, and to
yeah,
bring it back to Primo, I mean, that's what was so great about the pilot episode is, I mean, literally 30 seconds into well, maybe not that, like 2 minutes, you know who he is immediately. And his
yeah,
relationship with Martinez, like when with Miguel, who that friendship is obvious. But then as soon as he walks out into the house and you see the uncles, you immediately know who they are. Right. And
yeah,
their camaraderie, their relationships, it's apparent almost immediately. And so we have something to attach ourselves to emotionally, right? And
yeah,
then thankfully we bring everybody on a journey that works out beautifully well.
yeah, and definitely. I mean, and that's what made the show and really caught my eye. And then, like I said, and it's kind of funny too because this is just things that happen. Like, so I got to interview Todd Stashwick, who was Captain Shaw in Star Trek Picard. I had seen him. He had been in all like Supernatural, all those, shows that I watched, like you. And I met him at San Diego Comic-Con at a booth, and he was promoting this comic. And literally, like when that trailer dropped for Star Trek Picard, I was like, no way. And he was on my friends list. I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, I don't know if you can, come on my podcast, talk about Star Trek. It hasn't even aired yet. And he messaged me back and he tells me, here's my agent's number, message them, tell them you talked to me. And I got to interview him before the episode aired for it. But the same thing like you, getting to interview you, because seeing your acting skills, you leave a mark when people see, if you're a TV buff like me, when an actor that catches your eye, they leave a mark and you remember them the next time you see him on another show, and that brings a big thing for movies, you know what I mean? So when you leave that mark as a character, and then also too, when you portray a bad guy, even it makes you hate that actor, but that means they're doing their job.
Yeah.
You know what I
That
mean?
was at one point, and I'll never forget this because it was that Criminal Minds thing, not to bring it back to the beginning, but Autumn Reeser was the top of show on that. She was the guest star. She was the woman whose husband, not that, it's not going to be a spoiler because this is years ago. If you haven't seen
Yeah.
it, if you haven't seen the episode, here you go. I kill her husband and eat him. And she's in this final scene, which we're shooting on that very first day. And in between one of the takes, she looks over at me and she goes, I feel so bad for your character. And meanwhile, I'm holding her hostage. I've got my love child I'm using as a shield. And it was the biggest compliment. And it was so kind of her to say it. But it took me aback and it took me by surprise because I was so, like I said, I was so pumped up and I was so in the scene and I was so connected to everybody else. And I was just trying to be there for everybody else in the scene. And it made me realize, oh my God, like you can bring humanity to anything. Right. And
Yeah.
so that set me off on a path too. I realized I wanted to bring as much substance to every character that I portrayed as possible. Didn't matter if they were the bad guy or the good guy or in between. And that's really been my goal, that and to be of service to my fellow actors and to make sure that the story and the play is the thing.
Yeah. And you're doing a definitely good job, man. I can tell you
Thank you.
that. And like I said, from a true person who watches and loves shows and, loves writing and all that stuff like that, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there who, work for newspaper, TV reviews and stuff like that. They're there for a job. Some people don't really love this stuff that's out there. But when you have true fans, it really makes a difference. And when you hit that mark that the fans really love, when you get that fan base happy, you got a follower for life, man. That's all I can tell you.
That's really, thank you. It means a lot. And it's nice to know that people can appreciate it. And that's really all you can hope for as an actor, is that you resonate with somebody out there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, man, I don't want to take any more time of, time already going on 50 minutes. I don't want to take you longer.
Oh, man.
I know you got stuff you got to do, but definitely, I'll message you when Doctor Who's 60th airs. See what your thoughts on the episode, because now that I know you're a Whovian, definitely would love to have a conversation with you.
Before we go, I also want to tell everybody out there, if they haven't checked it out yet, The Stratum is this sort of homage to 80s sci-fi that I did with my buddy Crash Buist and his girlfriend Lauren Seneschal. My wife is in it, Jennifer Lee Locks. It's out on Amazon right now. It is it's sci-fi.
Oh, nice.
And it's fantastic. It's a fun ride. It's like I said, it's an homage to like 80s sci-fi. I think anybody who appreciates The Thing and the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, I think you're gonna love this movie. And if you haven't seen it yet, right, you need to watch it.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna watch it. Definitely.
Check it out. Let's talk about it.
Okay. I definitely will. I'll message you once I watch it.
Right on.
Because I'm definitely gonna watch it. But thank you for your time. And guys, if you haven't watched any of Jonathan's stuff, go out there. Like he said, Walking Dead aired last week. Fear of the Walking Dead. Catch him on that. Primo, if you haven't watched Primo, you definitely want to watch it.
Primo all day.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious. But like I said, thanks again, Jonathan.
You're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much.
Oh, it means a lot, man. Like I said, this is very appreciative. Like I said, me doing this stuff is something new. Man. But for you to say that, I appreciate it. All right, sir. Thanks.
RightCorp has driven us toward desperation and violence.
Are you People's Army?
Hi, I'm William Wright. Our top scientists here on Wright Station are dedicated to millions of customers living down on the planet's surface.
You think they'd house their security team on the space station?
A one-bedroom apartment up there goes for $1 billion.
Not only does the most powerful CEO in the world have a daughter no one knows about, he's also keeping her locked away in a private installation.
You talked to her? What were you thinking? If Wright gets wind of anything that we're doing, we're done.